Welcome back, South Jersey football fans, to the South Jersey Football Frenzy Show here at Studio B, the finale for the 2022 season. As usual, we're going to wrap up all the action that happened state finals weekend in Rutgers and talk a little bit about our favorite parts of this season. It was a good one. It started so long ago, it feels like, but in another way, it feels like yesterday. We put a bow on everything, as always. Put the bow on. Mac, it's good to see you.
I don't have the bow tie, so I apologize. I mean, I have some, but it's a pain in the tie.
Do you have some? You have a tux?
I got two, actually.
Next year, I'm wearing a tux.
for the final. It was crazy, right? We're
Get back on here, Rod.
Right. You need me on?
Yeah.
Do you need me on? My voice is enough. We go from Boardwalk, right?
Yeah.
Great start of the season. The Battle of the Beach. You know, we're all sitting there going, my gosh, it's early. And we all know why it was early. And, you know, we had the culmination of the state championship for a couple of our local South Jersey teams. And obviously they fared pretty well. But just I think the event in itself was pretty successful. I mean, I love the semifinal site.
Yeah.
The Rutgers Stadium, I'm sure it's going to, you know, those stadiums get big, right? They get big.
Well, they do, Mac. And Rod and I talked about it, though. It doesn't feel like it's empty when you're there.
No. Look, I've coached in games on that in that environment twice there, and it is. They do a great job with the Tron or the Fanavision or whatever you want to call it. They're welcoming, and it doesn't. And look, the fans are in a frenzy, for lack of a better word, right? So their teams are going for state titles. So it is a great venue for the kids to be, and the kids love that stuff too. I mean, they walk in that place or MetLife Stadium or wherever they have them. Rutgers is a beautiful stadium.
We had 5 public state champions. Of course, we're going to touch on them and give them a big hats off for the year that they had.
And you gave a Northern hat off.
We did, and we'll get to Nico also. Congratulations, Nico Ottamanelli. First man up north to wear the hat. First off, Mac, though, it's been a wild season. It's hard to believe just sitting here that we have come from the merry-go-round and on the boardwalk that here we are. It's always a little bit bittersweet, right? These are one of the most fun shows we get to do to wrap everything up. And everybody's looking forward to the holidays, and we've spent a lot of long days and nights preparing and getting ready here. But at the same time, the week is just missing something when the South Jersey Football Frenzy Show goes away.
I mean, we might have to take a Twitter poll on that, but if Mr. Musk allows. But it's high school football is, obviously we're huge fans, and it's as my wife will say, she's like, my gosh, you can watch any football game on any channel at any time. It doesn't matter who's playing.
Right.
I can watch 8-year-olds go at it, and at the Hartford Road Field in Medford.
Yeah.
But it's a long season for these kids too.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, as fans, we miss this stuff, but the bodies are beat up. It is. There's nothing more. High school football practices are long, mentally taxing. Not only, and obviously the physical part of it. And to go through that grind, to go through the whole process. At the end of the season, there's always, win or lose. It's like kind of a sigh, like, all right,
yeah, I
can breathe. It's over. But being able to breathe and be over and raise a state championship trophy, that becomes a whole other, it's like that soreness after a great workout, right? When you win that final game, you limp onto that bus with a little something extra special, which, our friends, Woodbury and Millville got a chance to do too.
Speaking of Woodbury, I know those that saw the Hats Off podcast from Tom Pagic's Jersey Gridiron Scout Senior Showcase on Monday night saw, but we'll be sure to show it again here because our guy Derek is in here. Derek, the father of Deron Moore. There it is, number 1. Got the hat, second hat of his career. These black unis, Dan Howie, great job, the AD over at Woodbury. Congratulations to Woodbury. They win that thing 31-7, Mac, and Deron was certainly the star. He was everywhere. Before the season we talked, and last year and the year before, that, hey, you know what, if there's a group championship in New Jersey finally, we have a feeling our Group 1 teams are going to be able to flex some muscle. And that's exactly what it did. Mac, they're down 7-0 at halftime, 31 unanswered in the second half. Just absolutely rolled.
Yeah, I mean, it was one of those, I guess, Herb Brooks speeches at halftime, like, hey, you guys did a great job a couple weeks back, but you know what? If we don't take care of business here at Rutgers, it's we'll be kicking ourselves. So let's walk together forever, as they say. So, and that's what they did. They came out, they showed their dominance. I think if you put the truth serum in the media of New Jersey of who's going to win the state championship in Group 1, it was going to be a South Jersey team. Yeah. So getting through that juggernaut. But that doesn't mean you don't have to go play that final game. And I think that's what Coach reminded the kids at halftime. Yeah. Like, yo, guys, on paper, we might be a little better than these guys. We gotta do our thing now. And they did their thing. Second half, that's for sure.
Excellent team, excellent season. Thought from the beginning they would be one of our teams that are state contenders. And as we mentioned, those teams that we thought would be there at the end, they mostly were there at the end, and Woodbury certainly one of them. Congratulations to Coach Reagan and company. I know how much it meant to him, and his alma mater. A few years ago, this team was a little bit young, a little bit green, and wasn't all sunshine and lollipops. And here, 2 years later, state champs. The first state champs in New Jersey history. So congratulations to Woodbury. Thank you all. You have been supporters of the show from the beginning here. Of course, we have the helmet. We got the new decals. I'm pointing to the wrong side. We got the jersey. Just seen a lot of good games. All due respect, all the jokes about the bees are over with. The bees down at Woodbury's field. It was Mountain Lakes who got stung the hardest, 31-7. Now, Mac, in Group 2, Caldwell extends their win streak to 28 games. There's a play. I know a lot of people asked about instant replay in the finals, and they said, well, why wasn't there instant replay? Because Caldwell had a fake field goal. They threw for a touchdown, looked like the foot was out of bounds. The reason there was no replay, quite frankly, is because they had it last year, and it didn't work twice.
Right. So, right. Yeah, you can. Look, the game's played by humans. It's going to be ref by humans. Every coach has been on both sides of that, bad call situation. It's a shame that sometimes those things do obviously take control of the outcome. And Rumson has had a great run. This is what we talked about a week ago or 2 weeks ago, prior to the game. We thought that this would be this type of game. But Caldwell had brought in that experience of saying, hey, hadn't lost in a year or two. I mean, gosh. So, and sometimes, as they say, it's sometimes better to be lucky than be good and get a break or two. I mean, so those things happen. Again, it's heartbreaking to be, you win that North or you win the South and you come in and that's part of it. That's part of the deal with going for a state championship. You're gonna, someone's going home not happy.
That's right, Mac. And Caldwell had just an incredible season again. I mean, here, look at this. They haven't lost since COVID, and you think back to it. Did they deserve to win the state championship? You'd say, yeah. I mean, even if they don't get that touchdown, who knows what happens?
Well, their body of work. I mean, yeah. I mean, absolutely. They've been a perennial. But so is Rumson. I mean, look, that's who should have been there, right? I mean, that's kind of, you look at it and say, hey, these were the two teams that have earned that spot to get there. You talked about, when these kids, championships typically aren't won that year, right? You talk about teams coming back and being back in the playoffs and teams leaning on that leadership of the seniors. I mean, my gosh, to a man, the kids they'll talk about kids who aren't on the field playing for them, right? That's the kids who've built the foundation, and that's why it's so special when a team wins. We go always to community, but it's not only the seniors that just were on the team through the freshmen, but it's the last year seniors, the year before seniors. I mean, seniors will talk about when they were freshmen and sophomores and who taught them to do the right things, play the right way, et cetera, in the weight room, how to do off season, how to deal with Coach.
Yeah, Coach Mac.
Coach Mac or Coach fill in the blank. So, that's all part of it. And that's kind of that's the pass it on, one for more for the next guy. And, sometimes that means the next guy is going to win a state championship. But, there's a lot of people and a lot of families and a lot of players that are a part of these championships.
Circle of life of high school football. I mentioned here in the chat, and I want everybody to weigh in on their favorite memories of this year. Of course, Mr. Best, his favorite is the extra point to beat East Side for Cedar Creek. And we know why. He's got the boot. But I want to hear what everybody's favorite thing was, because this is a show that's based around the viewership and the community, and thank you all for tuning in all year. Derek says the one gripe he has is that he thinks those regional bowl game trophies last year are better than the state championship trophies are. And I will say that the state championship trophies do look a lot like the regular trophies, the sectional trophies, but they're gold.
They're gold.
They're gold, and I thought those were pretty.
That
I
was a
thought
nice
they were
touch.
pretty slick.
It's a nice touch.
They're the wood plaque with the gold instead
With the
of
gold.
Yeah,
And it's a little bit bigger than the other one that they got.
They are a little bit
right.
Yeah.
and they're gold, which is Woodbury's color. So
That is
made
true.
sense.
I think I would like for them to have that same style of trophy, but somehow incorporate the state,
hat.
the state the state outline, like the New Jersey, to make it kind of bigger. I think that would be kind of cool. Like it still has the same feel and tradition of the regular.
I like it. I like that.
Right. I mean, look, it's funny when you win it. I mean, it's nice touching that. Nobody, I don't even know where they end up. They're where they are. They're in the principal's office, right? Or
we had a fun time with the Millville game at the end of that, because we had to track it down to get a picture with the hat and Mr. Brooks and the trophy. And
it's funny though, where game balls and things go.
you never know where they end up.
Well,
do you?
I kind of know where one ended up in our place, but
You're still unhappy about it?
no, I'm not. He deserved it. He took it. He made the interception. He put it under his arm, and he has an RV football in his case for his life. So good for him. I mean, it's like a pitcher in baseball now. They put that ball in the pocket real quick.
Yeah, it's gone.
They don't ask anybody.
No.
So if you can, look, they're the memorabilia that I mean, look, trophies and. But you're not really playing for. But they are, like you said, they put a little jersey stain on them. We'll get them. Maybe the hat on top of the jersey.
I like that. I mean, a couple years ago, we had the sod from the Holy Spirit Lenape game. Remember that? I regret to inform you the sod has died, but
Yes.
I like that.
I remember.
Yes.
And hey, look, man, to Brooks's credit, after the game, he said, they said, how good does this feel? What kind of feeling is this? He says, well, I'm one of the few guys to get the hat 3 times. It feels pretty good. He wasn't talking about the gold trophy. He was talking about the headwear. I'm just going to remember that forever. Thank you, Brooks.
But he also knows he doesn't get the hat without.
That's right.
They don't get the hat without the state championship.
We're going to talk about those bolts here in a little bit. We also, by the end of the show, are going to do something we promised to do way before Turkey Day, and that was to unveil our final Best 11 rankings at South Jersey. We finally have them. The season is wrapped up. The playoffs are done. And we will tell you who is number 1. And this is a topic of conversation that a lot of people are having, specifically in one little area in South Jersey. I think there's a debate to be had between some locales that are pretty close.
They might as well drive down the street and get it on.
Right.
That's right.
Parking lot game.
Yeah.
But after
fun.
after you read it off, we're off the show right away. We don't take any more.
Yeah, we're out of here.
We're
You
out.
don't get to hear
And
from
then,
us. You don't get to talk to us.
No text or no.
Shut off your phones. Chris Baker's favorite moment, Millville Mainland or Clayton Pittman ending on Thanksgiving. That was a good one between Clayton and Pittman. One of the last few major Thanksgiving Day rivalries left. And Millville Mainland was a great game as well. We were there on the sideline for that one, with Millville prevailing in the state semifinals at Cherokee. Good games.
They were, that, like I said, the Cherokee games were great. And Millville, I think their magic number is 18, right? I mean, that's the number they rolled on.
Yeah.
So I think they had 18 against Hamilton. They had 18 against Mainland. And I think they got another 18. And so it seems to be, if you're a numerologist, that's the magic for them.
Derek's favorite moment was getting past Salem, even outside of that state. And that just goes to show
What did I?
how big a deal it is down there, Rod. And we mentioned that, Woodbury, Salem, and having to overcome that.
Well, that
was the state championship, in my opinion.
But I think
it's
if you look at those grueling, I mean, typically sometimes getting the semifinal game tends to be, you look at the NCAA tournament, you look at some of those, and then the familiarity of, say, of the
kids, they know each other.
Exactly. And when they're playing for it, then you got to be like, hey guys, hold on, we have another game. We have a state game playing against teams that you don't even know maybe where they're located, who they are, never heard of them, don't know their mascot. You're looking at film trying to go, what color uniforms is the team we scouting right now?
Right.
I mean, so so familiarity breeds contempt, and that's...
It's like the Bulls Pistons.
Yeah.
When Michael first, when he finally got past the Pistons, it meant more to him than anything else at that moment. Yeah.
Absolutely. Because, and you can talk in professional sports before they used to do, we're dating ourselves now, but when they would play less crossover, you didn't play American National, you didn't do that. You didn't, even in basketball, you wouldn't even, Sixers might play the Lakers.
Right.
Once, twice a year, maybe, not even, so just, getting to there, but playing that team in your backyard, playing the guys playing a team you hadn't been literally over their hump, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it took Woodbury to be able to get over their hump with Salem.
The two favorites right now in the NFC, in my opinion, if they were to play an NFC championship game, I mean, that would be, there are some people that would take that over winning the Super Bowl.
Well, yeah, I mean,
like 1980.
They're exactly. And there's some other people that don't want to see that game.
Yeah,
they're like,
there's going to be not a lot of eating that week
because you're
in either area because of the nerves.
Well, that's what I mean. It's like the old throw the records out, and your Eagles fans are like, no, we want to keep those records.
I remember back in the past there was a sectional championship. I think it was. It might have been a semifinal, where there's a major rivalry, and talking to one of the coaches beforehand of. What do you think about this? You win this, you guys are the team to beat. And he said, I would rather do anything in the world than lose to those guys. I just don't want to play them. I mean, just the fact anything could go wrong and we lose to them, it would be so much worse than losing to anybody else or anything else happening. It's just all I want to do is to not lose to them. I'll never hear the end of it. And it really does get that deep.
I probably know that, Coach.
You might. Funny point about this. We joked a little bit a couple weeks ago about what we termed the North Jersey Football Frenzy Show. And on that show, the North Jersey Football Frenzy Show, they talked about who was going to win that game between Mountain Lakes and Woodbury. And a couple of the hosts said Woodbury, and a couple said Mountain Lakes. And I think the last guy said Mountain Lakes had lost to Caldwell, and Caldwell's very good, of course, state champions now, 28 in a row. But Woodbury's not Caldwell.
That's what he said?
That's what he said. He said Mountain Lakes can win by 3, I think it was. And, I mean, it is what it is. We're all biased. We cover these teams.
You said how many guys do they have?
They had 4, but, we could get 4 if we wanted to 4.
They got big budget over there.
Yeah, still not us, though.
But, no, not us at all. But,
of course not.
The funny thing about it was, as time is ticking down in the final minutes of Woodbury's win, I think after Wilson Torres picked 6, put it on ice at 24-7, I think it was, and Wilson Torres would have had the nod of the week. He's got the nod of the week. He's got the nod of the year if he wants it. But Coach Reagan looking up and down the sideline, and he starts saying, we ain't Caldwell.
Wow.
And by the end of it, he even told, I think, the people presenting the trophy, I think he looked right at them when they're all in the huddle. He said, we ain't Caldwell. And I got to agree with you, Coach Nam, you're not Caldwell.
No.
He was very, very proud to be from South Jersey and represent on that stage, and we are proud of the Woodbury Thundering Herd. Congratulations. Group 1 state champs, first state champs in public football history in the state of New Jersey. We're going to talk about our other state champs and a team that came just short. Right after this, we'll be right back with the South Jersey Football Frenzy Show. So sit tight and share it out.
Our game of the week this week is sponsored by TurnersvilleJeep.com. TurnersvilleJeep.com on Route 42 in Turnersville. Turnersville Jeep is proud to sponsor South Jersey High School football. And Turnersville Jeep has a huge inventory of new Jeeps, Chryslers, Dodges, and Ram trucks, plus a large inventory of pre-owned vehicles. They also have an award-winning 5-star service department. Drive a little, save a lot at TurnersvilleJeep.com. They're located on Route 42 in Turnersville, or visit TurnersvilleJeep.com. If you take a selfie at this week's Game of the Week, before next Friday, you get a free oil change at Turnersville Jeep on Route 42. The South Jersey Football Frenzy Show is sponsored by Mall Chevrolet on Haddonfield Road. Mall Chevy is South Jersey's largest Chevy dealer and has been a big part in helping our community grow. They're proud to sponsor South Jersey High School football. Mall Chevy is our area's go-to dealership with the largest selection of brand new Chevys and a huge inventory of pre-owned vehicles, plus an award-winning 5-star service department. They're located on Haddonfield Road across from the Cherry Hill Mall, or visit them at mallchevy.com. A special thank you to Dave O'Sullivan of South Jersey Glory Days, sjglorydays.com. South Jersey Glory Days brings us a platform that we've been on here for the last couple of years. The South Jersey Football Frenzy Show would not be possible without them. Visit Sully's website, sjglorydays.com. The South Jersey Football Frenzy Show is also sponsored by Atlantic Chrysler Jeep Fiat. Located on Tilton Road in Egg Harbor Township, it's been a big part in helping the community grow. Proud to sponsor South Jersey High School football. Atlantic Chrysler Jeep Fiat. Tremendous selection of brand new cars and pre-owned vehicles. An award-winning service department. A presenting sponsor of the South Jersey Football Frenzy Show. The show is also sponsored by Jersey Gridiron Scout. Coach Tom Pagic is Jersey Gridiron Scout, the premier recruiting service platform for all middle school and high school prospects in the tri-state area when it comes to football. Jersey Gridiron Scout does 3 things for football prospects. 1, they have a senior showcase in December and an underclassmen showcase in May for high school prospects to be evaluated in front of more than 50 colleges. 2, they have off-season winter indoor position trainings for youth, high school, and college prospects from January to June at the Fieldhouse in Moorestown. And 3, they educate families on the college football recruiting process and timeline. Check out Tom's website at jerseygridironscout.com for more information. Follow him on Instagram at jerseygridironscout and on Twitter at Coach Pagic. That's at Coach P-A-J-I-C. South Jersey Football Frenzy Show is also sponsored by Cherry Hill Jeep on Route 70, home of the real zero down deal. For over 50 years, Cherry Hill Jeep's has been a big part in helping the community grow, and they remain proud to sponsor South Jersey High School football.
Welcome back, South Jersey and New Jersey football fans, to the South Jersey Football Frenzy Show here from Studio B. I do want to thank those who sponsored the show this year. You've heard the commercials that we have each week. It's not possible without them. It's not possible without Sully letting us go on here. This thing, for those who don't know, kind of got recalibrated a few years ago and started from scratch. And with the help of Rod and Mac and the sponsors, we've been able to put something together that we hope you enjoy week in, week out, and hope that highlights the best that we have to offer in South Jersey football, specifically the players, the plays, the wins, the losses, the kids, all the good stuff. So thank you guys for tuning in all year.
As we say to our kids, get you off the phone for an hour.
Yeah.
Well, they might watch us on the phone, but
Yeah.
sure. We're not a 30-second, we're not a TikTok.
No, we're not. And we enjoy being here more than anything. So thank you again. But our sponsors are what make it possible.
100%.
So that is the key.
And Rod.
And Rod, of course.
Making the wheels roll.
He's making the wheels roll. And I'll tell you what, the wheels were rolling for Millville's defense on Saturday night, Mac. In the Group 4 state championship against Northern Highlands, Millville, look, it wasn't pretty for Millville. Everybody knows that. By now you've certainly heard. There were a lot of opportunities where it seemed like maybe would they pull away? Would they be the team to win? They talked about this from the time the season started. They brought so much back. LaQuinn Allen, who was the Gatorade Player of the Year in New Jersey, was on the sideline. He was not suited up for Millville. Dennis Thomas, who was their coach last year, was also somewhere around the sideline. He was not suited up either. He's coaching at Rutgers.
Right.
This team had a lot back, and they'll have a lot back next year as well. They had high expectations. They didn't always light up the scoreboard the way people thought they might. But at the end of the day, they're state champs because they're the best team in Group 4. And all that considered, Mac, if you go down and look at their game, the 3 games that clinched this thing. Hamilton, they go to the fourth quarter down 16-6. They win that game 18-16. They got 3 stops in a row to force a punt. They got them the ball back, and they went down and scored. In the rain, in the grass, in the sod in Hamilton, they won the sectional final. In the cold, in the wind at Cherokee against Mainland in the state semifinal. They go to the fourth quarter down 14-6. They score. They make it 14-12. They give up a kickoff return from Jabril Mace to the 4-yard line. Hold them. Defense stops them. No points. Give the ball back to them in their own zone. Hold them. Get the ball back. Go down and win it. 18-14. So you're thinking, as Rod said, I got it wrong. Rod said on Monday, I got this Millville team wrong. I don't know if they can flip to that gear in the state championship. And you know what? They did it again. Down 14-12 at halftime. Scored in the second half.
I said to Tommy, right? I said, they're going to win this game 18-14. He's like, how do you know? I'm like,
That's what they do.
it's what they do. Winners win. Winners win.
Winners win. Millville ends up the state champs, 18-14, like you called it, Mac. They beat Northern Highlands. I thought the defense in the second half was just incredible. There were times when they could have bent, they didn't bend. There were times they could have broken, they didn't break. They simply would not give it up. And Latsier Brooks blocked field goal, ended up keeping that margin at 4 points, and with Northern Highlands at the 8-yard line on 4th and the game to go in the final minute, they couldn't kick. They had to go for the touchdown because Latsier Brooks sprinted off the edge and blocked that field goal with one hand, as only he can do. I know he's a thunderbolt, but he was a lightning bolt on that play. Either way, they come home state champs. The defense, mighty impressive all across the board. Of course, quarterback, Jacob Zamat, great game. 2 touchdown passes. Freddie Levant, long slant, also caught a touchdown. Great game. Latsier Brooks, 100 yards receiving. As we said, he got the hat for the 3rd time.
Right. Zamat, not only the 2 touchdown passes, I mean, he was, I think, 24 for 30-something.
24 for 34.
Yeah, he was he was efficient as heck.
254.
Oh, man, that's big time. Efficient as heck with 1 pick. I mean, that's two touchdowns. That's big time. And then looking to your point on the other side, look at some of the defensive stats. I mean, Northern Highlands averaged less than 3 yards. Is that my 3 yards of carry?
Well, let's see here.
Boom. That's
2.7 per carry.
And that's something I wanted to speak to is the effectiveness of their defense. Mm-hmm. You know, they have the flash with Brooks and, Sharp and Zamat and those guys. But at the end of the day, their defense buckled down when they needed to every single game and gave them opportunities to go on and win. And what do they say? Defense wins championships.
And you and I talked about that front 7 of theirs, right? Like everybody's like, we know who gets the ink, we know who gets the pub and all that stuff. But I mean, we're all going to watch some games over the next couple weeks, and on New Year's Eve that the big upfront wins.
That's big boy football.
Yeah, it's and I don't care what you're doing, pass, run, etc. You need a defensive line that's nasty, that can get after it. I mean, it is. And watching Millville, again, I go back to the Battle of the Beach. Even though you're there and you're like, look at they got dudes. I mean, they got dudes all across the front. They got guys who can get to the ball. I mean, it makes a difference. I mean, when you're letting up an average of 14 points a game on your run through Hamilton, Mainland, and now Northern Highlands. I mean, that's why they're winning. That's why they won.
Well, let's just look at this game from the last 2 minutes of the third quarter. And I'm going through this stat sheet here because I'm curious. So if this is a little bit jumbled, I apologize. Northern Highlands gets a fumble inside. They get it at the 8-yard line of Millville. Missed field goal. 4 plays, they gain 2 yards. The next time Northern Highlands gets it, they get it on a fumble. 7 plays, 17 yards. They turned over on downs. The next time they get it is on a punt. 2 plays, -4 yards. They punt it back. The next time they get it's on a punt. 4 plays, 6 yards. They turn it over on downs. Then they get it back on a punt. 5 plays, 12 yards. They give it back on an interception. Kion Conyers. And that's where you're thinking the game's over. And then they get it back with a fumble with 1:38 left. And things get really tight, you'd think. And they get 7 plays. 7 plays, 11 yards. Other than the one quarterback scramble for first down, nothing. So Millville, look at those drives, wow. Mac. You need a play. I mean, the state championship's on the line. If you got something in the bag, this is the time. This is it. The team will eventually get that play with all those chances. How many drives was that? 5 in the last 13 minutes of the game? Nothing.
Well,
they couldn't move the ball at all.
At all.
Nothing. You got a defense that's clamping down. I mean, look, if you're telling somebody normally, hey, you're gonna turn the ball over, what, 3 times?
Still have a chance to win.
3 times.
-3 in turnovers.
-3 in turnovers.
Yeah.
Which means sudden change. Defense steps on the field, steps up, makes plays. Doesn't mind playing with their back against the wall.
Right. Normally in that situation, 3 turnovers, you get blown out by 21 points or 14 or something.
In a state final game.
Easily.
I mean, that's typically, you typically see a +1, -1 the other way maybe. Those, -3, not the formula, but that just shows you how strong their defensive side of the ball played all year, played in the finals. I'm sure Northern Highlands is watching some of that tape going, wish we had that one back, wish we had this one back, wish we did,
Well, I'm not, certainly the teams that Millville beat on the way were very, very good teams. Northern Highlands, Mainland, and Hamilton. And when you look at the way that these games unfolded, they were very, very close.
As they should
against the state champ. But I think, in retrospect, and I apologize if I'm out of line here to those 3 teams, but I think the people around those teams or the fans of those teams may say, we were that close to winning a state championship. But I don't really feel, after seeing those games, they were really that close because Millville, every time, they just stood up. I mean, even when they needed that turnover on downs against Hamilton when they used the timeouts, I think it ended up being 4th and 10. It wasn't like they got 3 and 4 and 2 and they get stopped just short.
Is Millville the 10-year-old holding the 6-year-old by the head as he's swinging at you? And they're like, all right, okay, now we're gonna pull the Millville hammer.
And and to their credit, you cannot overstress this, that they're teenagers that went back out there every time. No frustration, no, oh man, the season's on the line. They did it on off. We credited their offense with those drives that won those games of being cool, calm, collected. And we credited their defense with getting him the ball back in those situations and standing tall. But I'll tell you what, man, it can be a lot easier to give up a play that loses a game than it can be to make a play that wins it. And Millville came out every time with their hard hat and their lunchbox and said,
Well, I think a lot of that has to do with their immaturity of them being so young.
Yeah, being young.
And the scary part is they're coming back next year.
Right.
So it's kind of
and then they'll be better. They won't be young anymore.
Right.
They'll be experienced.
Now we're saying, man, they're blowing teams out by 21. you know, the immaturity does show at times, you know, certain penalties that may keep a drive going here and there, and just not that sense of urgency. And that's kind of what I was looking and hoping that they would show in the state championship game, is come out and like, yo, we're on fire right away. But they kind of, you know, hey, we got this.
Right. Well, look, it's when you have a culture of knowing and not in a cocky way, in a, you know, we'll go back to our Phillies, right? We ain't losing. Like, we ain't losing. Like, it got to a point where Millville was like, we ain't losing, right? They're just not happening, right? And I said to Tommy, I'm like, they're going to win this game 18-14. And sure enough, I mean, that's kind of what they've done and that was what they do. And now you can talk about perpetuating culture, right? Now you have freshmen who maybe didn't get on the field and sophomores, and I mean, they have a lot of young guys too, but there's young guys that didn't get on the field that, you know, might be able to play at some other schools, but they know, all right, I'm going to get my shot. Like, I'm going to, you know. But it's not like Millville's got a sidelines of 60 kids either. Right. And we talked about this last year with Dennis, and now, we did. They don't care that their sidelines doesn't have 60 kids. Right. They're quite all right with the 40 that show up on the bus.
Yeah. You don't need 60.
No, you only can play 11.
That's right.
And a lot of those dudes on Millville were playing both sides of the ball.
Well, that's what I was going to say. When Trible was talking about stopping and scoring and going down, you know, you're tired on the both sides, but there's also that feeling of like, we're going to go with we're going with our guys.
Yes.
You know, whether that's playing both ways, 5, 6 guys, 6, 7 guys, you know, we're going to go with our guys because, you know, I mean, yeah, you want to get a lot of guys out there in those situations, and, you know, we can talk playing both ways and being fresh. Well, I'd rather have a little bit tired dude, right? Who's not gonna lose. You know, I think of now he's at Marist now, man. Aaron wouldn't let us. He wouldn't let us lose.
Aaron Acosta.
Yeah. He just wouldn't let us lose. I mean, that cat. People, coach would be like, man, we got to give him a break. I'm like, nope. Aaron didn't want a break. Aaron just wouldn't say nothing from 7 o'clock to 9:15. Nothing. And he just dominated.
And I think that guy for Millville was Rasheer Hunter.
Yeah.
I think he was that dude. He was punishing that team defensively, and then will walk on the other side of the ball and run the ball. He earned a lot of respect from me. I mean, he just was punishing guys.
And you know, those guys that, you know, maybe they don't have to say much. They don't, you know, they just look at. They're just, you know, when you're looking down, you feel sorry for yourself. You're a little bit sore. You're banged up, and then you look at this guy and you're like, whoa, he's bringing it.
Yeah.
And you know, each team has, you know, leadership happens in so many different ways in high school, you know, all the way up through the professional ranks. And it doesn't have to be the guy, you know, the rah-rah, the screamer,
right.
you know, it's just the lunch pail worker can be just as effective and sometimes even more effective in those situations. It, like, hey, don't talk about it, be about it.
Yeah, and to the point as well, in watching Millville in the beginning of the season in that loss to Irvington, it was a similar type of game to what we've seen the last couple of weeks, where they just things went wrong, and it was like one thing after another, and you're looking up and they got the ball down by 2 in the fourth quarter. They found a way to be on the right side of those as time went by. And, you know, a worthy state champion. Like you said, they bring a lot back. The epicenter of the public football world in New Jersey is 2 locales next season, folks. I'm just going to tell you this straight up. Millville and Toms River North. They both bring a lot back. The Group 4 and Group 5 state champs. Toms River North with their big win over Passaic Tech, 28-7 on Sunday. You know, the prohibitive favorites to win the group, Mac, and they went ahead and won it.
Micah Ford's good, isn't he?
Won it going away.
He's good, Micah Ford?
He's a pretty good player.
Pretty good.
Pretty good player, Rod.
My favorite moment of the season came watching that game up at Rutgers and talking to the other reporter, and me just telling him, listen, they're not big enough.
It ain't gonna happen.
That was my favorite moment.
It's not Hoosiers.
I mean, he's arguing me down about some 6-foot linemen, and I'm like, they're not big enough.
Gun to a night fight. I mean, yeah, it's just a different.
It's a different beast.
Yes. Townsville, as we talked about last week, they might be the number 1 team in
the state.
Yes. I mean, with Bergen, Bergen's got some, but
I think most people had him number 2, and I think that's correct.
That's about right.
Yeah.
Right, but everybody in Toms River North lives in Toms River North.
I would like to see him play just to see. It'd be fun. But,
Yeah.
but most years that's not the case.
What's he want, a super?
Most years the public number 1 is not necessarily a game you really want to see against Bergen. That's just sometimes that's the way it goes.
Yeah.
But this Toms River North team is so big and so talented that I think they'd stand a pretty good chance.
And
against
coming
most
back
anybody.
next year.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are. Can I say prohibitive again?
Yeah, prohibitive favorites. The one team from South Jersey that was undefeated going into the weekend was Delsey in Group 3. They fell 24-14 to Old Tapan in the championship. Great season for the Crusaders, as we said. They won the Group 3 sectional semifinals. They were the top seed in the bottom half of the state going into the playoffs. They lost their quarterback early in the playoffs. And with the backup, still made their way to Rutgers. I thought they had a couple of mistakes, a penalty here, a couple things that were just that close. And Old Tapan was good enough, certainly, to take advantage. They made the big plays when it mattered, specifically in the fourth quarter. And I'm thinking about the 46-yard kick from Nico Ottamanelli, the first hat winner in North Jersey history. 46 yards, pretty impressive stuff. That was no lucky kick either. We watched him hit it from about 46, 47 in warm-ups. Then they had an interception. They had a touchdown catch late. All very impressive plays, good plays. Old Tapan, a worthy champion. Delsey, close, but no cigar for the state championship. Another great year for the Crusaders, though. Sal Marquez, a memorable year as he became Delsey's all-time win leader. Congratulations again, Sal. And they were exactly what we thought they would be all season. They just routinely churned out wins, and they got to this point. And they just, like you said, it's a razor-thin margin sometimes.
And if you know Coach Marchese, he's not doing this on Monday or Tuesday, but, as he's breaking down season, film, games, you can hear him to his staff going, the little things that kept on, that we got through. I don't want to say they eventually catch up to you, but for them, it kind of caught them up to them a little bit, right? I mean, you get to those those teams, you can't be those little bit of mistakes that they were able to overcome over the last 2 years in situations, or especially this year. But yeah, great year, great season. It would have been nice to have another South Jersey inaugural state champion. Delsey would be very, very much deserving. But as you said, and they're not going to make excuses. I mean, that's part of it. They're a next man up mentality down there. I mean, you lose a guy, you lose your guy. I mean, Camden High lost their guy, and you lose guys. That's part of the deal. But some of those guys you lose, your quarterback, sometimes it's a little bigger deal.
Yeah. And I just ultimately think that they got away from who they were, and it kind of started early in the game with just the simple mistakes.
Right.
The fumbling the ball. Just everything that could, the penalties. Like when you watch Delsey, you don't see them get a lot of false starts and things like that. So everything that could have went wrong for Delsey did go wrong at the wrong time.
Right.
And they just weren't able to just get in rhythm, with the pass game, the things like that. They weren't able to really, it just didn't feel like Delsey when I was watching them.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure that's, Sal's probably sitting there going, we can't be, you can't, it's easy for us to watch it in a less emotional,
Yeah.
Just watching what's happening. To your point, Rod, you're saying that's not what they do. That's not Delsey. But again, great season. They did it. It's a perennial. Again, they'll be. Something tells me they'll be back. Not only in the semis.
Yeah.
They might even be at our Group 3.
Well, I think
preseason.
some of them will be back in the winter because I'm pretty sure some of them went right in that wrestling room where they look like they're going to be pretty tough to beat as well there.
You think?
Yeah, and it's there's a lot to look forward to with Delsey.
Yeah.
There's lots to look forward to in the show too. We've got the best 11 rankings coming up here in our final segment of the season. So sit back, relax. We'll try not to be poisoners of the moment, I think, and we'll be back right after this.
The South Jersey Football Frenzy Show is sponsored by TurnersvilleJeep.com on Route 42 in Turnersville. Turnersville Jeep is proud to sponsor South Jersey High School football. TurnersvilleJeep.com has a huge inventory of Jeeps, Chryslers, Dodges, and Ram trucks, all brand new. They also have a ton of pre-owned vehicles, plus an award-winning 5-star service department. Drive a little and save a lot at TurnersvilleJeep.com. They're located on Route 42 in Turnersville, or visit TurnersvilleJeep.com. The show is also sponsored by the West Jersey Football Coaches Association, established to promote, improve, and unite football in South Jersey. In less than 2 years, the association has created the Battle at the Beach and has dedicated itself to helping others. The association has donated more than $20,000 to date to provide scholarships and help those in need. South Jersey, let me tell you about my friends over at SRA Home Products, who also sponsor the show. SRA has been building sunrooms, pergolas, and patio covers for over 25 years. They have built more than 9,000 projects in the Delaware Valley. I've had the opportunity to be around owner Mike Fody, and I have nothing but the best things to say about Mike and his crew. SRA is a gold-accredited member of the Better Business Bureau under the Elite Provider status with Home Advisor, and they've racked up numerous Best of South Jersey awards in the past. They contribute to multiple sport associations and are huge supporters of Williamstown football. Find them online at srahomeproducts.com. Thank you to our sponsor, Ricky Moriello at RE/MAX Community. If you or someone you know is looking for real estate in South Jersey, find Ricky and reach out to him. He's helped us bring this show to you each week for the last couple of years. We can't be more grateful for that. He knows where to find your real estate. Give him a ring at 609-352-9476. The South Jersey Football Frenzy Show is also sponsored by Cherry Hill Kia and Cherry Hill Mitsubishi on Route 70. If you want to talk about top-notch selection and service that's the best around, take your car to either of these dealerships. You won't be disappointed. And while you're there, you could probably talk some ball too. These guys love South Jersey football. Get over to Cherry Hill Kia or Cherry Hill Mitsubishi.
And welcome back, New Jersey football fans, to the South Jersey Football Frenzy Show. Final segment of the 2022 season. Saw a lot this year, a lot of history. First ever public state champs. We talked about all those games. If you're just tuning in now, be sure to go back and watch and listen and all that jazz. It truly was a great weekend. The weekend before, of course, Bergen Catholic beat Don Bosco handily in their state championship, the non-pub A at MetLife. And DePaul, I believe they came from behind to beat Red Bank Catholic. It was a close game in non-pub B. Worthy champions, 7 state champs. That is it. Instead of a couple of state champs and 20 sectional champs and 10 regional bowl champs, just 7 stand alone and say, we are the best of the best.
He likes it clean, Rod. Like his...
I want to wish a good luck, not that anybody here will ever care or watch, but Kettle Run High School I used to cover, watch them lose in 3 consecutive playoffs when I worked back in Virginia. 2 state semifinals in a row, and I think the next year was a first-round game. They lost to James Monroe out of Fredericksburg every year. JM used to say on their on the pad around the field goal post down the bottom, JM, Jayem. James Monroe, man, they were a great team. Great, fun games. Now, Kettle Run this year is 14-0, and they're headed to the Virginia State Championship. So good luck, Cougars. Best of luck.
When's that, this weekend?
Yeah.
Got it.
Best of luck. I hope they get it done. Be the first state champion in their county history.
That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, be cool. Certainly won't be my alma mater. They
Still got a lot of football left.
they're bad. They didn't win a game this year.
You got a lot of bowls. If you're a college football fan, you got a lot of bowls. You got the Division III and Division II and 1AA, which is, man, those tournaments are, they are. And now with the TV, with the ESPN 2 and 3 and U, and
Yes.
you can watch, man, it's good football. I mean, check out a tournament, right? I mean, start at 32 and.
Yeah, you hurt me.
Who's your favorite?
I'm sorry, Robert. You gotta win a lot of games to win that thing.
D3, we just say Mount Union's.
Mount Union,
We'll
D3.
just say them. They got everybody who left your school over there. All the Ohio State the guys.
I go to Ferris State.
Okay.
They won last
Like the
year.
Bulldogs?
Yeah, they won last year.
Is Pittsburgh State in it? The Gorillas?
They were. I think they got
like
knocked off. Colorado Mines.
Oh, yeah.
They're in.
Of course.
And
School of the Mines.
Shepherd.
Shepherd, that's my sister's alma mater.
Which Shepherd has the quarterback who has the most passing yards in NCAA history.
Yeah, he's killing it.
That kid is, I mean, he's lights out.
Right.
I watched him, and because if we would have won, we would have had to travel to Shepherd and face him. So I was telling my son, like, look, you want to play DB? This we start watching him the week before.
Yep.
He is the real deal. He'll get a shot at the NFL.
Right,
for sure.
He can definitely.
Shepherdstown, West Virginia.
Right. Every level.
The Rams.
1AA. You know, everybody follows the big boys. You know, and they're the 14 playoff format, which we all know, going to 12. But the other two, 1AA, 2 and 3 have been 32 team tournaments for a long time.
And listen, with this transfer portal, a lot of kids who are Division I guys, if they don't want to go to prep school or JUCO, they're going to have to think about going D2 or lower level D1 so they can get on the field and play. Yeah. Like, I mean, at the end of the day, these big guys they're bouncing around. Guys who are stars of their team are leaving. Like, it's a different world now with recruiting in college and coming out of high school.
I'm going with Coach Prime. He called me. I called him. He ain't hard to find.
Well, he said he's
Prime. He said I like.
Yeah, but he said
I like your swag.
Yeah, but he said he's bringing
a
Louis.
hat.
He's not bringing a Burberry. He's bringing a Louis. He's bringing a Louis.
How about that, Coach?
A Louis. I'm bringing a Louis.
Did you like that?
Yeah. Well, if he's got the Louis to bring with him, I don't. I
need a new sweater.
Listen, you go. I mean. Dion, that's a different. If he got some dudes now, like you said, with the transfer portal.
Look, did you see afterwards? It was 2 quarterbacks who transferred.
Well, look.
Immediately after.
Let me tell you something. If you look at the Buffs this year,
63rd ranked team, and
the Buffs won 1 game, and their average margin of victory defeat was 33.
Yeah, they didn't play very.
They were bad.
They're not very good.
They were a cupcake. They were a homecoming game for everybody.
Listen, my dad.
There is nobody on that depth chart that should have felt comfortable at any point during the season or after. I'm sure they're.
Look,
there's a reason.
I can't end a season or a show without having my dad's story. So my dad helped me out my first year coaching, and we were not very good. We were 1-9, and a father says, "What? Do you got a lot of guys back, Coach?" And my dad was like, "I hope not."
The original portal.
I mean, he was. Listen, Vince could call. He called like he saw it, right?
Listen,
Call like you see it.
the one quarterback threw for 600 yards and he played 8 games. I'm sitting there like, it's quarterbacks that throw for 600 in one game.
Right? You're like, max quarterbacks do that.
Oh, yeah.
It just isn't quite, it's a shame that Colorado, I hope Coach Prime gets the Buffs back in action because I love watching Ralphie run on the field every game.
Oh, yeah. It's pretty
When
cool.
you don't get to watch that,
Dude, they were in '88. They won a national. Rashawn Salam. They
Yes.
were
He won a Heisman Trophy.
won the Heisman Trophy.
He was the real deal.
did they get the 5th down? Was it them?
Yeah, they And then their coach got involved with some things he shouldn't have been involved. You got a little bit, and next thing you know, you're sliding. Next thing you know, you're 65th.
Oliver Lilly says your uncle was the same way. Oliver goes way back with the Max.
John's still around, Oliver. He's still around. 88. Oh, wow. He was the best, or is the best.
So let me ask you this, and then we could get to the rankings. I know everybody's anticipating what the rankings are.
Everybody but one guy, I think, is taking us seriously. Go ahead.
If your son was in that room, what are you saying to him when you see the video and then when you talk to him? Now, we all know they had a different meeting that they didn't air, right?
Right.
But what's your conversation with him?
Mine?
Mine? I mean,
It's much
Both of you
different.
guys.
look. I
You
honestly,
I'm a coach, you go.
Listen, I'm a dad. Do you like the school? Do you like being at the school? Right. Obviously, there's going to be some changes. Right. They're going to bring the guy who recruited you ain't going to be here anymore. Probably not.
Mm-hmm.
Are you and are you good enough? You think you can get on a field?
Right.
Like, this portal's big, right? But what's the from Gino Armiel? I'm mispronouncing.
Oriema?
Oriema.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, look, if a lot of these girls who transfer can't play at their school, do they think they're going to play at the next school?
Right.
Well, and we know of the ones that do. Like the ones you do, you hear. You don't hear about the ones that don't. So to answer your question, you got to have the old sit down and say, hey, do you like the place? Do you like? What do you think? I'd have a meeting with that position coach sooner than later if you could get in front of Coach Sanders and say, Coach, like I know we had the meeting in the meeting.
Mm-hmm.
I got a shot. I'm the D-back, and
He'll
look.
say Travis Hunter's coming.
Yeah, right. Well, I'm going to beat him out. No, you're not.
Yeah, they're in a different situation because they're going from probably the worst talent in the conference,
Maybe in the country.
Yeah, to Alabama status of talent that's getting ready to walk through the door. Like, it's a lot of guys from Bama who entered the portal because they knew Prime was going.
Now, his biggest job now, and I think he's going to with his hires of his coordinators and the right. Like, it's one thing to say that, like, Deion Sanders has been a winner everywhere he's gone. Everything he's done, wherever he's gone.
Winners win.
Winners, yes. And from Florida State to Atlanta Braves, Atlanta Falcons, Dallas Cowboys, he's done it. And, and he's a great, and my brother who's met him a couple times when he worked with the Phils and went to Braves, he says, you wouldn't believe how nice a guy he is. So some of this is kind of the
showmanship of.
That's why I tell people about Mac too. You wouldn't believe. But really, he's a great guy.
So it's yet to be seen because there still has to be that there is that honeymoon period of when you bring in a new staff and you bring in a new coach. Like, look I tell you what Riley did over at USC. I mean,
And look at the flip side of that was Miami. Everybody thought Miami was going to be good. They were atrocious.
Exactly. Right. So, Riley did bring in the phrase, his thing was, it's X's and O's are nice, but Jimmy's and Joe's.
You need some dudes.
You need some dudes. So if they can meld that, you're going to have to, Coach Sanders is going to have to take some chances on some coaches because if you're, right, some already made some jump.
You heard he got Mike Zimmer
as
the defensive coordinator.
Yes.
And he has the Akron head coach.
Kent State.
He took the Kent State head coach.
And he's the OC now.
Who's flipped that
He's bringing in some
coaches.
Yeah,
they're going to be good. They're going to be good. To get back to your question, what would I say if my hypothetical kid was in that room, I'd say two things. First thing is, don't go to Virginia Tech. Please stay away from there. They need help, but they don't need your help. And the second thing I would say is you might need to call Tom Pagic and figure out, because he is the man who knows how to get you where you need to go. Now, Coach Prime, we're getting to prime time here.
We're getting to bed.
We're getting
to my bedtime.
Here we go, guys. The final best 11 rankings of the season. We saved them. The best for last. Number 11, Kingsway. Kingsway, Group 5 team, lost to Toms River North in the sectional final. No shame in that. Kingsway had a great season, led by Nate Mayers at quarterback. Van Brill at tight end had an excellent season as well. Darryl Brown Jr., of course, favorite of the program. Number 11, the Dragons. They twice beat Cherokee this year fairly handily, especially in the playoffs. It was a big, big deal for the Dragons and their program. Great atmosphere, maybe one of the best in South Jersey. Kingsway at number 11. At number 10, we kind of are familiar enough where it's kind of Burlington County's Kingsway, right? Lenape.
Right.
The very, very similar program, same colors, all that jazz. They also fell in the sectional final to Edison at home. Lenape, great year. I thought they were far better than their final record indicated. Their season was kind of in chapters. The beginning without Zaire Goffney-Fleming at running back. The middle with him as they started to knock off teams, including Millville. And then the end, some close calls, some close losses against some very, very good teams. And St. Joe and St. Augustine and Edison in the sectional final. Lenape at number 10. At number 9, Hamilton, Kenny Smith running the ball, Kai Presley on defense. Great year for Coach Razzo's Blue Devils. They were the number 1 seed in their section. They were knocked off by Millville. We talked about that game on Millville's drive that spanned 83 yards in 100 seconds and no timeouts and broke the heart of the Blue Devils at Hamilton. So they are number 9. Number 8, St. Joe. Coach Sacco's final year at St. Joe after 41 seasons. The Wildcats were gritty and tough as always, led by Jimmy Matuano, having Mercado, of course, on offense. Trevin Delgazo, the kicker, one of the best in South Jersey. Demaria McCoy up front was excellent for the Wildcats. They come in at number 8. At number 7, another team that was on the path of Millville and just couldn't quite get there.
This close.
This close, but also this far away. Mainland, number 7. Jabril Mace, one of the best players in the state, in my opinion. He did it all for them. Their best year since 2008. Coach Chuck Smith did an excellent job. Lost to their rival, Ocean City, early in the season in a game that they had the lead and lost it, a rivalry game. Very disappointed, but after that, turned things around and didn't lose until that state semifinal to Millville at Cherokee in the final minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they were a fun team to watch all season, and like you said, coming back from an early season loss, and teams can go either way on that situation, and they went north, which was great to see for them.
Yeah, put them right back on the map of a team, and a very Mace graduates and will have an excellent college career, but they bring a lot back off of that team as well. And Hamilton also brings a decent amount back. So we do talk about Millville and all that they have back in Group 4, but if things stay the same in terms of the groupings, Mainland and Hamilton are going to be another year older, and they're going to be just as hungry, if not more so, to get another shot at that thing.
Certainly so.
Number 6, the Woodbury Thundering Herd, the first state champion in public school history in the state of New Jersey, with a 31-7 win over Mountain Lakes. Their 2 losses in the season were to Haddonfield on the road, and then to Salem, where they gave up a lead in the last 5 minutes on the road, the final regular season game. They avenged that loss in the state semifinals against Salem, 22-7 at Cherokee. A big shout out to Woodbury, of course. We mentioned all the different playmakers that they've had through the season. Coach Reagan, congratulations. You are not Caldwell. Woodbury is number 6.
Yeah, tough to do this, right? Like where you have a Group 1 team, first state title for, and I will say, and these next 5, Woodbury on a 1-game basis, there's not a doubt in my mind they can beat anybody in the top 5 on a 1-game basis. Just always hard to do, especially with the different groupings. But what a season, what a year for them. I mean, that's a big time when you can with the legacy that's in Group 1 that we talked about last week. I mean, who would you think would be the first true state? And to a man, we were like Paulsboro,
Right.
And them walking away with it after their heartbreaks with Salem. So great season, obviously, and awesome for them.
At number 5, St. Augustine, the Hermits, right there at the end. A young team, as we mentioned at Battle at the Beach before they played St. Peter's. We talked about how young they were and that this season would be a growth process for them as things went on, and it was. They came together as the year went on. Turney at running back was excellent. McClear in the defensive backfield. Isom and Quinn up front. Adamson up front on defense. Another really good year for the Hermits, who show glimpses of what we'll see next year and the year after. It just looks like things are really good in Richland. So St. Augustine at number 5. Number 4, Holy Spirit. They beat St. Augustine. Holy Spirit's only loss in South Jersey was to St. Joe early in the season, but then didn't lose there again. St. Joe, of course, fell to Winslow. That's dropped them back a little bit. So Holy Spirit at number 4. The Spartans, Sean Burns, Gavin Roman, big years in terms of state recognition.
Yeah.
And, hey, you know what? They just find a way. They got Jasir Ward, the big man, running the ball next season. Got some big shoes to fill, of course, at quarterback and wide receiver. But if the gang remains together, I think that they'll be right there. Coach Andrew DePasquale's first season as well. He did a great job. Charlie Roman calling the plays on offense. A little bit of some tweaks to other pieces of the staff, but ended up seeking. They were mighty good. Holy Spirit at number 4.
We watched them early in the year. We were thinking, they were possibly a number 1 type team looking early on, and tweak here, tweak there, like we say. I mean, that could be, but it was good, Gavin Rome, what a career, right? My gosh, setting state records. I mean, he's the epitome of a high school football player, right? Just give him the ball, try to give him the ball, and make plays all over the field. So another great season for Holy Spirit, the Spartans.
Number 3, Camden High. Coach Rob Hinson. They lost in Ohio to a mighty powerful team the first week of the season. And then they didn't lose again until that state semifinal against Delsey. They were up 14-0 at halftime. Delsey stormed back and won that thing in the last minute, 20-14. Camden High's defense this season, we talked about Millville's defense earlier. I think Camden High had the best defense in South Jersey. I think that they were right in position to win that final game. Another team that had a quarterback injury in the playoffs. But Delsey and Camden High, we thought coming into the playoffs, that's who we had number 1 and number 2. And we have Camden High number 3.
The defense lights out. I mean, it was Delsey really had to do some things in that second half to kind of rock the boat towards themselves. And we talked about it on the previous shows, and they did. And, but Camden, again, great season. Coach Henson comes in and like you said, first, don't lose, bookend their losses, which is no fun to lose your last game, as we know. But they're going to be back as well.
The final 2 teams, I don't think it's any question who they are. And who you decide to put where is your business, and who we decide to put where is ours. When I first came to South Jersey, I was working at the Vineland Daily Journal. We covered about 7 schools, and these were 2 of them. They had good teams then. They have really good teams now. At number 2, we have...
Drum roll. Well, let me just say this. No,
I'll wait. Let me just say this.
The drum roll.
Number 2, the Delsey Crusaders. 1 loss on the season, happened in the state championship game to Old Tapan, 24-14. Lost a quarterback earlier in the playoffs, and Maxwell, who did a lot for them. Great season. Jared Shoppy almost didn't come back and play football. He is a state champion caliber wrestler. I think he fell in the state final last year with a major injury. Almost didn't come back, decided to. That was a team. Ashton Bloss up front was tremendous on both sides of the ball, number 66. Dom Teddy made huge plays all year. Wayne Adair, I know how much you love Wayne and the way that he played.
Back again too, junior.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the most fun grade, junior. When you go back, and you're a coach, they're upperclassmen, but they're not done. You get them back for another year. They get a little Sophomores tend to be sophomoric.
Yeah. Good job, Mac. It reminds me of The Simpsons when they have the bowling team. And he says, Homer's like, rhyming Homer with Homer. That was genius. So our best 11 rankings. Kingsway, 11. Lenape, 10. At 9, Hamilton. At 8, St. Joe, right across town. 7, Mainland. 6, Woodbury. 5, St. Augustine. 4, Holy Spirit. 3, Camden High. 2, Delsey. And number 1, with a bolt, Millville. Group 4 state champs. 18, 18, 18, lucky number 1. Lucky number 18, lucky number 1. Millville Thunderbolts.
Winners win.
And if
Winners win.
I was going to say, if 1 and 2 played, it would be a really good ball game, but it probably would end 18-14.
No, 100%. No, that's right. And Millville would be down in the fourth quarter.
Yeah,
So that's kind of how it would go.
Is that what you were going to say?
That's what I was going to
pretty
say,
good.
but I didn't
That's
want to
pretty-
spoil
You
it.
saved
you know?
the best for last. That's pretty good. 18 and 14. I think that's a good call. They, I thought Millville, in winning the state championship, obviously put them over the edge. I would think if Delsey had won to go undefeated to win the state championship, they probably would be number 1. But the Bolts, offensively, I don't know how many. I don't have enough fingers for this. We might have to use yours and Rod's too. But offensively, Zamat, Hunter,
Junior.
Sharp running the ball. Those
Junior.
two backs and that quarterback, Brooks,
Junior, sophomore.
Hale, Levon, the line, good on both sides. Guys like Offer, Blakowitz. Defensively, they had so much. Conyers, Massey Kent, German, Cornish, the guy who chased down
Play of the year.
Mace on the kickoff return.
Like those little things. I mean, that's
Forgive me, anybody that I
Huge.
forgot. There's a lot of guys, and they were all very good. And watching that team win the way they did at the Battle of the Beach, we thought coming into that, man, is this Thomas Jefferson team out of PA, they're big and strong, and they're coming to muscle, and Millville beat them, to take a phrase like they stole something. But the next week, losing that game to Irvington on a short week, again, I said, an ugly game, a game that you figure they want that back, and they said right then and there, we will be back when it comes state championship time. And if Irvington's here, we'll beat them. And Irvington wasn't there, but the team that beat Irvington was in Northern Highlands, and Millville beat them instead. State champions in Group 4, I can't tip my hat anymore to them. The Millville Thunderbolts.
awesome season. I mean, you look into some of the guys you mentioned, a lot of them are back. I think back at the Brookses, the catch, the fourth down and 5 when he disappeared.
That's right. The inside screen.
When
against,
you can
tunnel
make
screen
yourself
against,
disappear, that's
Hamilton.
tough to stop.
The spin out. Remember the spin out at the Battle at the Beach when a kid had his leg?
Yeah, had
and
his
he
leg
spun
and
out,
the south
stepped
far
over
sideline.
him, took off.
Yeah, I mean, he's they're a special team. They got special dudes, talent, toughness. All the things that you put in the pot for a football team that you like.
And we got to give the coach a shout out.
Yeah.
Yeah, Coach Allen. Yeah,
At the end of the
First
day,
year coach.
he has some dudes.
Yeah.
But we have seen coaches who get that type of talent replacing a, would you call Dennis close to legendary coach, right,
what
in
he's
Millville?
Done, he's a Millville legend. That's for what he's done there, and
Those are big shoes to follow.
Yeah.
And to come back and win the first ever state championship for Group 4, Millville.
right. And there's only one football, as we joke about, and it's not basketball where you get a possession every couple, every 30 seconds. I mean, having to deal with, and I don't want to say egos, but kids that people want the ball, right? Skill. Everybody wants the ball.
Yeah.
Let's give a shout out to
So-
a couple more guys, Mac. On offense, Dante Smith, Kashawn Jones. Defensively, I'm just going to go right through anybody who was in the score sheet that I didn't mention. Jaden Jones, a freshman, had the sack to win it. Wallace Jr., Tajir Brown, DB. Xavier McBride, Shaquem Sapp, Jacob Samad, of course, and Kashawn Jones.
But
Jaden Everett, Dante Smith to Zion Smith.
But you know who's not in the score sheet? The offensive line.
Well,
Well,
some of them are.
I know.
Yeah,
Some are
but-
D linemen, too. I get it.
Additional thanks, of course. Coach Mack, another great year. Thank you so much
Awesome time. Yeah.
for being a part of this, and thanks to Tracy for letting you swing on over here, man.
To get my Wednesday nights out.
Yeah, appreciate it. I know South Jersey does as well. Rod, excellent job behind the quote-unquote glass here for the Hats Off podcast and for South Jersey Football Frenzy show. We keep getting better and better and enjoying it more and more, man.
Be a little sad come Wednesdays, man. It's nothing to do.
Right?
Sunday mornings, not as much. Like, I'm not as sad about that. I can enjoy a couple
6:30 wake ups and out of the house with
Yeah,
coffee.
let's-
I'm cool with
sleep
that.
in a little bit for these final weeks of NFL season.
Am I going to do a hot stove baseball?
Yeah, we could do a Phillies podcast. It comes spring training. Let's do it live from.
Clearwater?
Clearwater, yeah, I'm down. We're in.
Yeah, let's go.
Let's go. Pack it up.
Yeah.
Well, all
We
we
just need sponsors.
just call Trey Turner. He might want us
Yeah.
to be there with him, right?
Yeah.
It might be a long lost cousin of mine.
Right? Could be.
Yeah. That'd be great. Yeah, you said the last name. Yeah. So thank you to both of you. Thank you to everybody who tunes in and gives us a lot of support. I mean, this is the reason we do it, is because people tune in and enjoy the show, and because we want to spotlight and highlight the kids as best we can. Special shout out as well to Chris Baker. Chris made things so much easier this year on myself and everybody else by doing what do you call it? Yeoman's work
Yeoman's.
in terms of putting together the
Who does-
notes for the show.
Who
and-
does yeoman's work? Yeoman.
A yeoman.
Sophomore.
Called Chris the Yeoman.
Sophomore.
Yeah. Thanks so much, Chris. Sully, Glory Days, South Jersey Glory Days. Sully goes all year round. So, you know, you're looking at wrestling, basketball, this stuff in the spring. You got lacrosse, softball, baseball. Sully will be there on site. Feel free to make sure you stay tuned in to what this Facebook page has and site. And same with Rod. D2 Sports Network is going to be streaming games, basketball this year, I'm sure.
Basketball and wrestling.
Basketball and
Oh,
wrestling.
nice.
I'm excited for a little bit of time off, but you know, I was talking to a coach the other day, and we both agreed. The first couple months after football season, like, yeah, man, okay, whew, some free time. And then after a couple months, you're like, man, I just wish it was football season again. And so we're gonna kick this thing back off here. Before you know it, we'll be planning for Battle at the Beach, and we'll be planning for the Hats Off 7-on-7 Invitational, and we'll be helping however we can along the way. So
I got one last thing.
let's.
I want to thank all the fans for just watching and supporting us, because at the end of the day, that's why we come back.
That's right.
You know, saying all the names. I don't want to run down because I don't want to miss anybody, but we know and we witness and we watch you guys come in every week, week in, week out, and the support is real. So thank you guys, keeping us going.
And sometimes when you're thinking, you know what, I'm a little under the weather, or it's raining, and what would happen if we didn't do a show? And I think about guys like Derek and Dwayne and Chris and Bobby and Oliver and these guys that are in here every week. Thomas Smith, of course, I cannot forget my guy Tyrone.
Derek Moore.
Derek, yeah. So
What's
I
the
said
bet
Derek,
every week?
He's the
Who's
first
the first
guy
one
every
in?
time.
Yes, sir.
And you sit there and think, you know what? If I went to tune in to my favorite show or one of my favorite shows and it said, no, we're just not doing it this week, I'd be like, man, I'm not watching that show anymore. I'm going to start watching the North Jersey Football Frenzy show.
Watch.
That ain't Caldwell.
No, but seriously, that is a big deal. It is a big deal. And it may not seem like it to you guys. I know you love high school football so much, but it means the world to us. And,
Good
I
time.
can't be getting misty-eyed.
Right?
I can't be getting misty-eyed, man. I love you guys. I love South Jersey football. I just wrap this thing. Wrap this thing,
You
man.
getting choked up?
Yeah. They'll be here soon enough.
Yeah, I love you guys. Hats off to you. This is the champion herd, but we got a pretty good herd in the chat as well, right, Ron?
Yep.
All right. Let's hit it.